everyone. Good morning. I have a lot of friends here today, so very excited to see you this morning. This is the 4th year that JLL Philippines had been sponsoring the Asia Real Estate Summit. And we started in 2014. Richard, Rebecca, and I, we said, we have to talk about the Philippines. We have to tell the world out there that they should come here, do business here, and employ Filipinos. And it's really happening. We are seeing it, and we are all here today this morning because of that. The growth in the industry, in the real estate market, in the BPO industry is phenomenal. And the theme today, this time, is different. So Richard said he wants to make it a little bit controversial so that people will come and attend and hear more about what's happening in the market. So let me just give you a quick snapshot of what's happening in the office, residential, retail, hotel market, and talk to you about the trends that we're seeing in the last 12 months. Last year, we've shared several stories with you, and we're still seeing that good story anywhere we go. So let me start. JLL. So what's happening globally right now? We said this time is different because it seems like when you look around the world, around the globe, there are a lot of changes happening. In the US, we have Trump, and the story there also, there are a lot of uncertainties. They want to have that US first policy, and it might affect the Philippines, who knows? In Europe, there's Brexit. We have here our chairman, Lindsay. If you want to know more about this, he can tell you later. Europe also, there's problem in Germany and France, and somehow we get a lot of business from that part of the world too. In China, they're very big, and there are a lot of changes there too. Growth slowing down, and will it affect us? And anywhere in the world, the developing countries and the developed countries, they're experiencing a lot of uncertainties and a lot of what-ifs. So it's not really a rosy picture out there right now. However, in the Philippines, where we are, I think we are still a lucky bunch. Isn't it? Would you agree? We're still very lucky. And look at the room right now. A lot of foreigners, a lot of expats. And ask them later why they're here in the Philippines, why they are moving from Europe, from the US, and moving here permanently or perhaps for the next 5 years here in the Philippines and do business here in the Philippines. We are ranked 4th in terms of growth last quarter and first quarter this year. So 4th honor. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. Comparing our growth, in the Asian countries, look at that. We're number 4, India number 1, China, Vietnam, and then Philippines with 6.4 growth rate. That's still a very good story. When the rest of the world, they are experiencing slowdown, jobs are not being created. But here in the Philippines, the market is still crazy. We have a lot of people here from the different parts of the real estate industry, friends also in the brokerage business, and I was just speaking with them earlier, and they said, the market is still crazy. There are a lot of business to be made. Their buildings are fully leased. We have a lot of developers and investors, speakers today, and they will also share with you the expansion plans that they have in the next 2, 5, or 10 years down the road. And in the Philippines, what makes us very attractive? Why are they coming here? Why are these foreigners, why are these companies, multinational firms, why are they coming in the Philippines? Well, Rebecca earlier told me, give them a very good story. I really don't have to give you a very good story because we see this happening. Just get out of this hotel and you'll see how crazy the market is. A lot of cranes, a lot of construction sites. The ground floor spaces are being taken left and right by coffee shops, convenience stores, and the banks. They're like, how many BDO banks out there right now? When you go out, it's like in every corner. Right, Russell? Russell is from the SM group, so he'll tell you more later about the SM, one of the giants here in the Philippines. And, look at this. Oops, sorry. Let me go back, because I'd like to highlight the demographics of the Philippines. not going back. Sorry. There you go. So there, very young population, average age of 24 years old. Where can you get that? Our Asian neighbors are getting older. The Philippines, 102 million people, 68 million people are employable, and that's why a lot of these outsourcing firms are coming here in the Philippines. They're hiring Filipinos, they're hiring the young, active, vibrant Filipinos. And we should be very happy, we should be very proud of this, and let's capitalize on that. GDP growth, as I've mentioned, it's growing. And now let's go to the real estate market. The office market is always the best indicator of the economy. We can check whether there's a healthy market if we look at the office take-up. So look at 2017. Today, we've recorded 1.3 million square meters of office space. It's actually a groundbreaking, I mean, it's record-breaking. It's the first time for the Philippine market to reach this number of office space, 1.3 million square meters. That's like making, if you're familiar with mega mall, 4 mega malls in 1 year. That's huge. Comparing it to how many years ago? In terms of rental, you might say a lot of office space, so rents might be going down. It's not. When you look at the rents across Metro Manila, it's still moving up. And right now, the average rent is at 900 pesos per square meter. If we look at the hotel and the retail market, we see the same confidence there. The retail market, there are, 17.3 million square meters. That's a lot. So many malls being built by SM, Ayala, Robinsons, the Villars, and all the other big players out there. In the hotel as well, if you look at the hotel market, there are like 120 rooms right now, 120 hotels, and another, maybe another 8,000 rooms that will be in place in the next 5 years. So there's growth in the office, hotel, and the retail market. So let me just give you a very quick detail of what's happening in the office. This is one of my favorite slides. 10 out of the 100 BPO cities, they are in the Philippines. That's fantastic, right? Manila, of course, is still the main area, and next is Cebu. We were just in Cebu a week ago, and it's like being in Makati, it's like being in BGC. Traffic is crazy, but I don't complain. I like it. When traffic is there, it means urbanization is happening. It means there are a lot of activities in the area. Go check Cebu, it's really fantastic there right now. And next is Davao, where our, of course, our current administration, our president came from. So many things are happening there. And one of our speakers today, the Lagdameo, who practically owns the whole Davao, will tell you about the development, exciting things that are taking place there at the moment. And several other cities, provincial areas. So 10 cities are actually in the radar of these outsourcing companies. So it's not shocking and surprising that we're the #1 in voice and we're #2 in non-voice. Well, my dream is to overtake India eventually, but I think that's gonna be tough because I have a mentor in India, and they said in India they churn like how many thousands of engineers. Like all men there, they want to be an engineer. They feel inadequate if they're not an engineer. So I don't know how we can do that here in the Philippines. We have to improve the educational system to reach to that level because that's the higher value work. The voice part, there are a lot of, a lot of people are actually scared that AI, the artificial intelligence, might take over that bit. And so what we have to do is move to the higher value work, which is the one that requires a lot of thinking, a lot of processing, the back office work, accounting, IT, software development, architectural work. They're now being outsourced here in the Philippines. Kathy, one of our panelists, actually is doing that. Architectural back office works are being outsourced in her company. So we need to have more of that. And as I've mentioned, this is the summary, Q1 versus 2017 versus last year. There's an increase of 64%, a lot of office space in the market, but despite that, there's an increase in rental, a stable rental increase of about 8% all across the metro. And this is one of my favorite. As of today, Year to date, we've recorded almost 500,000 square meters of office space absorbed, taken in the market. When we say absorbed and taken, that means contracts have been signed, companies have paid 6 months deposit, so there's real money there. It's not just, them committing, I'm gonna take your space. And look at the rental. In terms of square meters, Taguig has the highest supply because a lot of land there, a lot of projects there. Charmaine from the Daiichi Group, she has 3 buildings there and all almost fully leased. And in terms of, so Taguig, and then second in terms of supply would be the Bay Area, and then Quezon City, followed by Pasig and the others. So as I've mentioned, the rentals are moving upward despite the supply. We've seen the highest rent in Makati because it's the favorite now of, the gaming industry, mostly Chinese gaming software industry. They like to be in this area. And I was just speaking with the general manager of RCBC building, one of the most iconic projects out there in Makati. And he mentioned that recently they've closed a deal at 1,600 pesos per square meter. It's actually the highest that I've heard in the Philippine office history. 1,600 pesos per square meter for one whole floor, around 2,000 square meters. That's huge. And next, it's followed by BGC at an average of about 1,100 pesos, followed by the Bay, Quezon City, etc. There are, anywhere you go in the main CBDs, rentals have been moving up, and that's positive. It means despite the supply, there's demand and companies are willing to pay. Jobs are being created in the market. And here are some of the companies that we've worked in the last 12, 24 months. If you look at that, Cardinal Health, it's an American insurance firm, and they first entered the market last year, and they took 9,000 square meters of office space right away. They entered in Fort Bonifacio. So let me just give you a quick trends, things that we've observed in the last 12, 24 months. So township locations, they are really there, and it's gonna grow, it's here to stay. The current administration, they want to decongest Metro Manila and move developments outside in the provincial areas. And that is good because these companies, they want to tap the fresh labor market, affordable and cheaper real estate cost as well. Davao is also one of the hot spot. Aside from Cebu, Metro Clark, we have a speaker who'll tell you more about what's going on in Clark. They have a very good master plan, and Steven said he'll give, Sylvester, sorry, he'll give you some, confidential info, a little bit of that, of what they have in plan in Metro Clark. And mixed-use business districts. We have observed this. The big boys are into it. They want to maximize the returns on the development that they have. And I think because of the traffic, it's so difficult to get from north to south. We are seeing this everywhere. Ayala, SM, Mega World, Vista, Villar Group. They want to have that development in one area wherein the residential, the office, the hotel are all in one place. So it's work, live, play environment. And green buildings. So we've tracked how many green buildings are already up in the market, and today there are around 126 green buildings and another 39 in the pipeline in the next 3-4 years. 8 years ago, when we were starting to talk about green buildings, LEED accreditation, certification, one of our landlords said, Sheila, will that really give me an additional income? Will that make me command the highest rental in the market? And of course, we can't say yes, because the outsourcing industry, the main drivers of the office demand, they're always after the cost, right? Cheaper office. But today, it's not the case. Almost all the new buildings, landmark projects, they want to be green, or at the very least, accredited. There's a local version called Verde. And I don't think it's a trend, because all the first world countries, in developing countries, being green is really part of what they have to do. They have to be conscious. They have to provide a healthy working environment. And at the same time, these big firms like the likes of Coca-Cola, Procter & Gamble, the blue chip companies, it's part of what they look for. They have to go in a building that has a conscience and who cares about the environment. And this is the controversial bit, the software gaming companies. So a lot of Chinese companies here. This is just in the last 6 months, and we've seen minimum of 25,000 square meters, mostly in Makati. So I was, talking to my husband yesterday, and I said, maybe it's time for us to move our kids from IS to Chinese school. Forget about the American twang, and go ni hao ma this time, because the Chinese are really coming, and they're coming in a big wave. So our advice to developers, they just have to be very, careful in accepting them in their buildings. And since we're working with most of them, we do our own due diligence. We require them to submit documents. We verify their offices just to make sure that, you're getting legal, legitimate companies who would also add value in your properties. So here are some of them. And the flexible and instant offices. It's not really new. It has been here for the last, 20, 15 years. Our friends from Regius who are here can tell you more about this. Regius is also very close to my heart because 12 years ago, I was the general manager of Regius Philippines. And back then, the competition was not really tough. But today, almost everyone, they do have a lot of competition now. The plug-and-play environment, the flexible working office. One of our panelists also, Chris, he's into this space, Figari, and they're doing a lot of instant offices. And why is it growing? It's growing because they're present in the major CBDs. And for companies who are not yet here in the Philippines, it's best for them to start in an instant office, test the market, and if they do well, they can grow. For mature companies, for the big ones who are already here, they go to instant office, flexible offices when they have an instant office requirement or when they're waiting for their permanent space to be built to be ready. And this is not a trend. I think it will be here for the next few years to come. And that's why we talk to a lot of our clients, and they want to have this in their buildings. It's part of an amenity that they would like to give to the occupiers. And the retail market, the ladies' favorite. We want to have mall audit most of the time, see what brands are already out there. So this is what we have. We have a lot of malls in the Philippines. Bulk of them are in the metro. And this is also one of my favorite slides, because if you look at that, in the world, the biggest malls, 3 of them, they're found in the Philippines. Thank you, SM, for giving us this. It's a destination now. SM North, SM Mega Mall, and the one in Cebu. So what does it tell us? The Filipinos, we want to go out, we want to shop. And also, I think part of the reasons why this is growing is because we have limited parks in the Philippines, and it's very hot here. So Filipinos, they prefer to go to the mall, and because it's cooler there. And what we are also seeing is that the trend right now, it's not just a mall where people will shop, it's a lifestyle area, it's a destination area. Mall of Asia and the others, they're doing this. It's part of the tourist spots. And we are also seeing this in other parts of the world, in Southeast Asia. And later today, we have our guest speaker who flew all the way from Singapore and will share with you what's happening in Southeast Asia and give you trends there as well. Despite the many shopping malls, retail spaces that we have, we are still the most affordable retail rent across Asia. Look at that, the cheapest. It's like average of 2,000 pesos per square meter. And in terms of brand presence, Philippines, we're ranked 13th out of the 20 cities in terms of retail presence. So almost all the brands that we only see in the first world countries, they're already here now in the Philippines. The Filipinos, they're getting more and more sophisticated in their choices, because there are many things now out there. They can buy stuff. They have access to all of these now. Here are some of the new entrants in the last 6 months. Richard, Rebecca, Tim Hortons from Canada. They're very proud of that. And on the residential market, a lot of condominiums are being built. Bulk of them are near the CBDs. We have about 127,900 units and another 31,000 units coming in the next 4 years. Sorry, yeah. And in terms of, so what's fueling the demand in the condo market, the residential market. Still three things: the OFW remittances, the growing middle class, the outsourcing employees, the BPO employees. And again, because of the traffic, we see a lot of young professionals wanting to rent inside the CBD. It's like they're halfway home because I think it's not wise to spend 5 hours in the car. It's better to rent and then they can just go home during the weekend. So we see a lot of dormitories, condominiums being built in the outskirts of the main CBD. In the tourism and hotel market as well, we have a lot of hotels. Almost all the big brands, the big major 5-star hotels are already located in the Philippines. Tourism also, it's growing, but it's not growing at the pace that we want because infrastructure is still one of our main challenges. If you want to know where these hotels are coming in, most of them are in the Bay Area, the casino area, the Asiana part. And why Philippines? Why we say it's different now? Do I have to say this again? I'm sure you all know, you will all agree, that Philippines, we have the talent, the Filipinos, a lot of these multinational firms, a lot of these companies, they're coming here because of us. They're coming here because of the Filipino, the English-speaking, young, talented Filipinos that they can employ. Competitive rental rates. Our rental is still one of the cheapest across Asia Pacific, 10th to the cheapest when it comes to office space, and the cheapest when it comes to the retail rental rate. We have the credible supply, as I've said. So this is the next bit, the golden age of infrastructure, which is what we need. We need to have good access, good airports, transportation, and infrastructure. The internet capacity, the internet bandwidth, it has to be fast. So companies look for this. If they want to locate in any province, they will look for this. And sometimes it's hard for us to promote a provincial area when they don't have connectivity or when it floods in that area. So the current administration is really focusing on this, and there is plan. It's not just in PowerPoint. I think it's happening. And I'm excited because I want to go to work someday using the LRT, using the MRT. I'm sure most of you came here today using your car. Imagine, 10, 15 years from now, we will all use the LRT or MRT. You're not excited. I don't see any excitement out there. But in the first world countries, right, you use their trains to go from any CBDs or any part of the city. I want to see that. I hope someday my kids will be able to see that. And this is the Duterte nomics, which I'm very excited about. They said they'll spend 9 trillion in infrastructure. Hopefully we see this in our lifetime. And if you want to know more about all of the developments that they have, just log on to the DPWH website, the airports, connecting Cavite. This is exciting. I'm from the South, and I have a story to share. 10 years ago, we bought a property there at 10,000 pesos per square meter. After 6 years, in 2016, the price now is at 60,000 pesos per square meter. So it's one of my biggest regrets now. I should have bought 2 lots because the land value has gone up 6 times in 6 years. So for those who are still interested to invest in real estate, I think the South is very good. It has a very good potential. Once the Cavite, the Laguna, the connection, what do you call that? Laguna Cavitex Expressway, that will make the land value in the South, Cavite, Laguna area, to double or triple in value. There are 12 reasons here why Philippines is such a great location. I don't have to repeat that. I'm sure you're already convinced, and that's why we're all gathered here today to talk about what's happening and how we can even grow what we see at the moment in the real estate market. So what do we have to look for this 2017? The BPO industry, the outsourcing industry, the office market is still very healthy. In fact, there is a new source of demand, and that is the gaming company, the software IT gaming company. Some of them are from China, some of them are from Europe, US. So they are here, they're really exploring the Philippines, and they're very aggressive in their office take-up. And I was just speaking with one of the big developers yesterday, and he said that they will allocate actually one of their main developments specially for them. They will have a place specially for this gaming company. So I can't tell you which developer is that, but I'm sure you'll hear that in the next few weeks. And the rising consumer confidence, the young middle class, growing population, as you've seen earlier, the GDP per capita is growing. That's fueling the retail demand, that's fueling the retail consumption. And the residential market outlook is still positive. As I've said, a lot of young professionals, they prefer to live inside the city where they work. They want to avoid the traffic, so it's better for them to rent in a condo, find an apartment, than to go home and spend 5 hours in the car. And again, tourism, very close to my heart. I'm a tourism graduate, and I think Philippines has a very big potential to really grow this part of the industry because Filipinos, we are really hospitable. We love to entertain. We love to give red carpet. I go around JLL office anywhere in the world, I can't find the same hospitality that we extend when we have guests here in the Philippines. And that's very authentic, that's very Filipino. And we should capitalize on that. And I think we really have a great potential. We have a lot of nice touristic spots, a lot of nice beaches here in the country. And if we can really just work on the infrastructure, which I hope this current administration can do, then I think we can really see a different Philippines. And today is a great day. As I've mentioned, we have a lot of great speakers who will tell you a lot of what's happening in different parts of the Philippines, Davao, the Bay Area, Robinsons, Metro Clark, Bulacan, and our guest speaker from Singapore who will give you the trends in the Southeast Asia market. And again, this great day is brought to you by JLL Philippines. We just celebrated our 20th year anniversary. We're not a young company. We've been in this business for 200 years, so it's an institution. And we're part of the New York Stock Exchange listed firm, Fortune 500. And for the last 10 years, we've been voted as the world's most ethical companies. And I'm very proud of that because I think it's that's very few. It's very hard to get this world's most ethical company stamp in your company. So it's a great day. And if you have any real estate requirement, I'm sure you know who to call. Thank you very much.